Hi, my name is Kelly Winters, and this is my unit plan for EDG652, and I did my lesson on the human body, so I called it the amazing human body. So for my first lesson, I wanted to talk about what's on a body. To introduce my lesson and to see how much the students already know, I would play the game Simon Says. So I would have the students facing the opposite direction of me. So their backs would all be towards me. I would start calling out words such as Simon says touch your head. Simon says touch shoulders. Head, shoulders. And then I would go down to stick your hand up or hands on your knees, just to see how many of the body parts in English the students already understand. The students would then go into a song called Shake, Shake, Shake. So the song would go, shake, 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 shake your head. Shake, 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 shake your shoulders. Shake, shake, shake your hips. Shake, shake, shake your knees. That's just an abbreviated version of the song. And then the students would then get into a large group where they would practice what they just learned. They would practice by tossing a koosh ball back and forth to each other. The student who has the koosh would say the name of a body part. Now the student who catches the ball would need to take the ball and touch it to that body part. For example, if the student who was throwing the ball said head, the student who catches the ball would need to take the ball and touch it to their head. And then that student who caught the ball would need to throw it to another student, and so on. My next lesson would be, are you eating a pyramid? Now this lesson plan would talk about all the different foods in the pyramid, such as the grains, the meat, the dairy, the vegetables, the fruit. And so students would get an idea of what's in each group. So for my cognitive objective, students will be able to describe the 5 food groups and name at least 2 items for each group. Social affective objective, students will be able to work cooperatively in small groups to enhance learning and complete assignments. The linguistic objective, students will be able to use the verb are correctly when describing each food group using the pattern blank and blank are blank. So I have an example, and my example I did on fruits. And so I found a picture of apples, and I found pictures of an avocado. So I would then write apples and avocados are fruits. So this is an example of what the students would need to do. They would need to find 2 pictures from each one of the different categories. So I have fruits, and then they would need 2 dairy, they would need 2 grain, and so on. So for an enhanced and extended lesson, they would have this little check sheet that they would bring to lunch, that they would check off which one of the food groups that they have for lunch. So say they had pasta with meat, and then they had milk, and they had green beans and tomato sauce for the pasta. So tomatoes are now considered a fruit. So they have their tomato fruit, and then they have the pasta as the grains, the vegetables, green beans, the milk is dairy, and the meatballs would be considered the meat group. So the students would come back to me. I would go over the sheet with them, ask them if they had something from each category. Then I would go back and I would ask them, did you have green beans or corn for lunch? And they would say green beans. Then I would say, did you have green beans for lunch? And then they would say, yes, I had green beans. And then the questions they would have to complete the sentence. They would have to answer it in a complete sentence, and so on. So for my next lesson, I would talk about bones. So my cognitive objective would be the students would be able to describe one function of bones. Social affective, students would be able to accept the role and responsibility in cooperative learning groups. And then my linguistic objective, students will be able to correctly use the complex sentence structure. If blank, I couldn't. So to show students how important bones are to our body, I would have these popsicle stick gloves. They would need to wear the glove and try to do tasks such as tying their shoe or picking up a pencil off the ground or writing their name. So they would get an understanding of how difficult it is if they didn't have any bones or their joints. So then that would go on to a skeleton puzzle where they would all get into their little cooperative learning groups and they would put together a 3D puzzle of the skeleton, and they would each need to work together as a group to put it together. And for the extended lesson, they would need to write about something that they couldn't do if they didn't have any bones, such as I wouldn't be able to stand, or I would not be able to walk or run, dance if I didn't have bones. The next lesson would be about the heart, and I called it Don't Go Breaking My Heart. So students would get an idea of what it is that their heart does, and that their heart is a muscle, and it is a very powerful muscle. So that they would get an idea, I would explain to them how their heart beats, and I would give each one of them a stress ball, and they would need to squeeze the stress ball. So that would show to them how their heart pumps. We would then go into how different activities increases our heart rate. So we would watch a movie in the beginning, so that would be our resting heartbeat. And then I would have them walk around the room. And then I would put on fast music, and they would need to dance. So after each activity, I would have them calculate their heartbeat. And they would need to compare their heartbeat from the activity before. Did it increase or did it decrease? So my cognitive objective would be that the students will record their pulse rate to compare how it changes when we participate in different activities. The social affective objective, students would be able to participate in a cooperative learning activity to help other classmates. The linguistic activity objective would be that students would be able to use the cooperative adjective fast and slow. Then in a complete sentence pattern, when I blank, my heart beats blank. So my heart beats faster or my heart beats slower. My next activity would be an activity called wind machines. So I would talk about our lungs. So my cognitive objective would be the students will be able to explain how our lungs work. The social affective objective, students will be able to work properly in making a creative project that requires teamwork and presentation skills. My linguistic objective would be students will be able to write sentences using the conjunction because. So for this activity, students will make a lung. So I already made one. So the green balloon would represent our diaphragm, and the pink balloon would be our lungs. So, and then the ball is just our body. So when we inhale, you can see the balloon inflates. But then when we exhale, you can see that the balloon deflates. So inhale, exhale. So the students would each make one of these, and I would go around the room asking, how does it work? And to show me, what does it look like when we inhale, or what does it look like when we exhale? So for a writing activity, I would ask the students to explain, why can't we live underwater? So they would have to say something along the lines of, we can't live underwater because there's water and it fills up our lungs. Something along those lines. And then for my last activity, that would be called From the Rooter to the Tutor. And that's just all about digestion. So my cognitive objective would be, the student will be able to identify the organs of the digestive system. The socio-affective objective, students will be able to work cooperatively in making a creative project that requires teamwork and presentation skills. And then the linguistic objective would be, the students will be able to circle the past tense verb ED. Now this is a very, very messy experiment. So to explain what it would be like. So I would have the students in a little bag, they would have crackers, and they would crumble the crackers all up. This would be their tea. And then to add a little bit of soda, so I would get, or seltzer water, and put a little bit of that in there, and that would represent saliva. And then over time, about how it would get passed to a can where it would get shaken up, and so it would lose a little bit of the moisture, and then it would transfer to a pair of pantyhose, where it would, the crackers would end up getting all the moisture sucked out, like it would in the intestines. So it was all churned in the cup or the tin can, like it would in the stomach, and then now you're in the intestines where it sucks out all the moisture, and then at the end, that's the end result. So the dried up piece of cracker. So this would give students a really good idea of how that all works, and about how it takes the moisture out of your food, meaning the nutrients, the vitamins, all the things that we need to have a healthy body. So this is my lesson. Thank you for watching.